Have you ever experienced a constant ringing in your ears and wondered what it means? For many, tinnitus is simply a physical annoyance. However, the renowned psychologist Carl Jung suggests that there is a deeper spiritual background behind this phenomenon. In this video, we will explore Jung's approach to tinnitus as a message from the unconscious, a call for introspection and self-discovery. Through his teachings, we will uncover how this persistent sound can be an invitation to connect with our deeper emotions and find a sense of inner peace. Join us on this journey toward the spiritual understanding of ear ringing and unveil the secret that can transform your perception of this experience. Ringing in the ears is often dismissed as mere physical nuisances or insignificant symptoms, but from a deep psychological perspective, they could be much more than that. In his study of synchronicity, Jung developed an understanding of events that seem to coincide meaningfully, but without an obvious causal connection. According to this theory, ringing in the ears could be interpreted as a phenomenon reflecting psychic resonance, an external manifestation of an internal process. Rather than being ignored, these sounds can be seen as messages from the soul, signals that something important is happening within us. For Jung, the mind is not composed only of what we consciously perceive. There is also a vast unconscious, both personal and collective, that constantly influences our lives. The personal unconscious contains repressed or unacknowledged elements of our own lives, while the collective unconscious is the repository of experiences and knowledge shared by all humanity. Archetypes, universal images we all share, emerge from this collective unconscious and manifest in dreams, symbols, and seemingly inexplicable phenomena like ear ringing. These phenomena can be understood as attempts by the unconscious to communicate something to the conscious self. Perhaps the ringing is a warning, an invitation to reflect, or a sign that we are going through a phase of inner transition or transformation. Jung believed that when the unconscious tries to communicate, it can do so through physical sensations, which, if not understood, could lead to more severe symptoms. In this sense, ringing in the ears could be interpreted as a symbol of the collective unconscious, seeking to draw our attention to a psychic crisis, an opportunity for growth, or a situation that requires resolution. This phenomenon is directly related to the concept of individuation, which Jung described as the journey toward integrating the different parts of our being, both conscious and unconscious. Ringing in the ears may occur during moments of great psychological tension, when we are confronting aspects of ourselves that we had previously ignored or repressed. By listening to these sounds, it may be that the unconscious is inviting us to pay attention to these neglected areas, allowing us to begin the process of integration. In mythology and spiritual traditions from various cultures, sound is often considered a connection with the divine. The primordial sound Om in Hindu tradition represents the sound of creation and the cosmic vibration that underlies all existence. Similarly, ringing in the ears could symbolize that primordial connection, an echo of the universal vibrations resonating within us. Instead of ignoring or fearing these sounds, we could interpret them as an invitation to tune in to the deeper energies of our being and the universe. Sound, from time immemorial, has been a powerful symbol in the spiritual and mystical visions of many cultures. In Jungian thought, archetypes are universal images or patterns that emerge from the collective unconscious and manifest through symbols in our dreams, thoughts, and everyday experiences. The archetype of sound in particular has special relevance when trying to understand ringing in the ears from a spiritual perspective. In many cultures, sound has been revered as a sacred force. The ancient Vedas in India believed the universe was created from the primordial sound Om, and this same sound is still used in meditation and rituals as a way to connect with the divine essence of the cosmos. Similarly, in Taoist philosophy, the sound of wind, water, and internal vibrations are seen as manifestations of the vital energy that flows through the universe. For Jung, ringing in the ears could be interpreted as a modern manifestation of this universal sound archetype. When we experience this ringing, we may be connecting with a spiritual or energetic vibration that transcends the purely physical. From the perspective of depth psychology, these sensory phenomena are echoes of deeper processes occurring in our psyche. In this sense, sound is not just a physical vibration, but a symbolic representation of inner transformation, an indication that we are in tune with invisible forces operating in the universe and in our own soul. Jung believed that archetypes manifest in various ways in our daily lives, and sounds are no exception. Ringing in the ears could be the way the collective unconscious sends us a message through a sound symbol. This phenomenon, if interpreted symbolically, could be related to our spiritual evolution or to a particular phase of our psychic journey. The sounds might be telling us that we are in contact with a deeper dimension of our existence, where the spiritual and the physical meet. In shamanic traditions, sound is used as a tool to alter states of consciousness and connect with the spiritual world. Drumming, chanting, and repetitive sounds are ways to induce a trance that allows the shaman to access higher dimensions, or the spirit world. Ringing in the ears could be seen as a spontaneous manifestation of this kind of shamanic experience, where sound transports us to an altered state of consciousness, offering us a gateway to the unconscious and the spiritual. At the heart of Carl Jung's thought is the notion that humans are beings in constant psychic evolution, in which the conscious self and the unconscious work in a dynamic balance. When this balance is disrupted or tilts too much toward the unconscious, symptoms or phenomena that seem unusual or strange can arise. One of these phenomena could be ringing in the ears, a manifestation of the unconscious trying to communicate something important to the conscious self. For Jung, the unconscious is a vast sea of unprocessed thoughts, memories, and emotions, many of which never reach the conscious level unless we are able to interpret them. However, in some cases the unconscious may force its way into consciousness through symbols, dreams, or even physical symptoms like ringing in the ears. In this sense, these sounds are not mere noises, but signals that something is happening internally, and that perhaps we are ignoring or repressing it. In the individuation process, which Jung described as the path toward total integration of the self, ringing in the ears could be seen as an alert that we are in the midst of an important transformation. We may be facing difficult decisions, changes in our relationships, or situations that force us to reevaluate who we are. The unconscious, when detecting these internal tensions, may draw our attention through physical sensations that we cannot ignore. Ringing in the ears could be a manifestation of an individuation crisis, a moment when the conscious self is struggling to adapt to new circumstances or internal discoveries. Perhaps we are about to integrate a repressed part of ourselves, or are beginning to face a shadow we have long avoided. Whatever the case, the ringing can be interpreted as a signal that it is time to stop and pay attention to our internal state. In clinical practice, Jung observed that many patients experience sensory phenomena as a response to unresolved internal crises. These symptoms, which often included ringing, tingling, or inexplicable sensations, were the unconscious's way of signaling that something in their life required immediate attention. If the patient ignored these symptoms, the underlying issues tended to worsen, leading to a greater disconnection between the conscious self and the unconscious. However, by exploring these phenomena with attention and curiosity, patients could begin to resolve the internal conflicts causing the symptoms. For Carl Jung, dreams and sensory phenomena, such as ringing in the ears, are symbolic manifestations of the psychological process a person undergoes on their path toward individuation. In his work on alchemy, Jung drew a parallel between alchemical processes and dreams, arguing that both are expressions of the psyche in a process of transformation. The medieval alchemists, in their quest for the philosopher's stone, were not only trying to transform metals, but were also engaged in a symbolic work of inner transformation, the process of turning the raw into something more refined and elevated. Similarly, Jung observed that when an individual dreams or experiences sensory phenomena like ear-ringing, these events may be related to what he called the great work, a symbolic representation of the psychic transformation occurring within. And the ringing, then, can be a sign that we are entering an important phase of change, a moment of dissolution of the old ego and preparation for a psychic renewal. The ringing may symbolize what the alchemist called the nigredo, or black work, the first phase of the alchemical process in which the impurities of the soul are destroyed to make way for a new stage of growth. In this phase, it is common for people to experience internal crises, intense emotions, or unusual physical sensations, such as ringing in the ears. These phenomena are not merely bothersome symptoms, but signals that something deep is being broken down and transformed at the most intimate level of the psyche. Furthermore, Jung believed that the synchronization between internal events dreams, sensations, and external events, real-life occurrences, was not mere coincidence, but a manifestation of the principle of synchronicity. According to this theory, external events that seem to have no causal relationship with a person's internal processes can still be deeply connected in terms of meaning. In this context, ringing in the ears could be a sign that we are in tune with the external world, and that our internal experiences are being reflected in the reality around us. For example, a person going through a period of significant personal change might begin to notice that ringing in the ears occurs precisely at critical moments of decision-making, or in situations that require introspection. This phenomenon could be interpreted as a signal that what is happening in their external world is connected to a process of internal transformation, which Jung would call an alchemical synchronization. The mind, like the alchemists, seeks to create a state of balance and wholeness, and sensory phenomena such as ringing in the ears may be part of this process. In the alchemical work, each stage of the process has its correspondence in the psyche. The albedo or white work, which follows the nigredo, symbolizes the purification and refinement of internal energies. If the ringing in the ears is a manifestation of the nigredo, it could indicate that we are in the process of purification, a painful but necessary process for growth. The alchemists knew that before reaching the philosopher's stone, it was necessary to pass through the fire of transformation, and the ringing could be a sign that we have begun this journey. One of the most important symbols for Jung was the mandala, a visual representation of the totality of the self. Mandalas are circular figures that symbolize the wholeness and balance between the conscious and unconscious forces within the psyche. Jung observed that people often drew or dreamed of mandalas during moments of psychological crisis or transformation, when the conscious self and the unconscious needed to find a new balance. What happens when the mandala does not present itself visually but through sound? Could ringing in the ears be a kind of sonic mandala, an auditory expression of the process of integration? Ringing in the ears, like visual mandalas, has a circular quality. It is often described as a sound that spins, repeats, or vibrates constantly, like an endless cycle. For Jung, the circle is a symbol of wholeness, and these circular sounds could be a sensory manifestation of that same principle. The ringing may be a sign that our psyche is seeking to complete a cycle, to close one stage of our life in order to open a new one. In spiritual tradition, mandalas are used as tools for meditation, helping individuals focus and achieve a state of inner unity. Ringing in the ears may have a similar effect, inviting us to pay attention to our internal state and meditate on the changes occurring in our psyche. These sounds remind us that, like the mandala, we are in a constant process of evolution, where internal crises and tensions are part of a larger cycle of growth. Jung also saw mandalas as representations of the self, the totality of our psyche that includes both the conscious and unconscious. Ringing in the ears, like mandalas, could be a signal that the unconscious is trying to communicate with us, reminding us that we are in the process of individuation, in which we must integrate all parts of ourselves. These circular sounds invite us to reflect on our current state of balance and offer us the opportunity to reconnect with our psychic center. One of Carl Jung's most important contributions to modern psychology was the concept of the collective unconscious, that part of our psyche that is not personal but composed of experiences and knowledge shared by all of humanity. This collective unconscious contains what Jung called archetypes, universal patterns that manifest in myths, dreams, and sensory phenomena. From this perspective, ringing in the ears could be seen as a manifestation of the collective unconscious, a resonance of spiritual and energetic vibrations that transcend the personal. Jung observed that during times of great tension or psychic change, the archetypes of the collective unconscious tend to emerge more strongly, manifesting in phenomena that may seem inexplicable or even disturbing. The ringing in the ears could be one of these manifestations, an echo of the archetypal forces at work in our psyche. These sounds might be related to archetypes that reflect processes of transformation, death and rebirth, or even symbols of healing and renewal. One of the most powerful archetypes related to sound is that of the Creator, the divine principle that brings the universe into being through sound. In many cultures, the universe was created by a primordial sound, such as the Om in Hinduism, Ringing in the ears could be interpreted as a resonance of this primordial sound, a signal that we are in tune with the creative energies of the universe. These sounds are not mere noises, but vibrations that connect us to the cosmic energy flow that sustains all life. Additionally, Jung believed that the collective unconscious was not only composed of images, but also of energies that could manifest as vibrations. Ringing in the ears could be one of these manifestations, an energetic vibration that resonates with the collective unconscious, connecting us to the universal forces that transcend our individual experience. These vibrations, although not always consciously understood, may be a sign that we are at a crucial moment in our spiritual development. In many spiritual traditions, internal sounds are considered a way to connect with the divine. In Taoism, for example, meditation on internal sounds can lead to states of enlightenment and spiritual understanding. Similarly, ringing in the ears can be interpreted as a signal that we are tuning into the spiritual vibrations around us. These sounds invite us to pay attention to our internal experiences and reflect on our place in the universe. In the work The Secret of the Golden Flower, Jung collaborated with Richard Wilhelm to interpret an ancient Chinese Taoist text that addresses the process of spiritual transformation through meditation. This work explores how human beings can reach enlightenment by connecting with internal forces, which often manifest in the form of sounds and internal vibrations. In Taoism, it is taught that we must learn to listen to these internal sounds, as they are a way to connect with the flow of vital energy, or Tao, that circulates through the universe. From this perspective, ringing in the ears can be seen as a sign that we are reaching a state of spiritual sensitivity. These sounds are not an annoyance to be ignored, but an opportunity to deepen our connection with the Tao, the universal flow that guides all things. By paying attention to these sounds, we can attune ourselves to the natural rhythm of the universe and allow our psyche to flow in harmony with the energies surrounding us. In his analysis of Eastern traditions, Jung observed that sound is a subtle manifestation of spiritual energy. While in the Western world, sound is primarily perceived as a physical vibration, in Eastern cultures, particularly in Taoism and Buddhism, sound holds deeper meaning, connected to meditation and inner development. Internal sounds, such as ringing in the ears, are a type of divine signal that can help us connect with our true nature and achieve a state of mental stillness essential for spiritual growth. The Tao, in its essence, cannot be explained in words, as it transcends intellectual understanding. However, Taoists believe that we can directly experience it by paying attention to internal phenomena such as ringing in the ears. These silent, subtle sounds could be the echo of the Tao resonating in our consciousness, inviting us to align with its flow. By meditating on these sounds, we open ourselves to the possibility of transcending our worldly concerns and connecting with a deeper dimension of our existence. Jung observed that during moments of crisis or spiritual transformation, it is common for people to experience internal sensations that seem to arise out of nowhere. Ringing in the ears could be one of these manifestations, a reflection that our psyche is in a state of change. For Taoists, life is a constant cycle of transformation, and internal sounds signal that we are attuning to this continuous flow of change. By listening to these sounds, we are invited to accept the impermanence of all things and flow with change rather than resist it. In mythology and Jungian psychology, the archetype of the hero plays a central role. The hero is the one who ventures into the unknown, faces challenges, and returns transformed, with new knowledge or treasure. For Carl Jung, the hero's journey is not just an ancient myth, but a symbolic representation of the individuation process we all undergo throughout our lives. From this perspective, ringing in the ears could be interpreted as a call to adventure, a sensory manifestation urging us to embark on our own psychic journey. When the hero is called to adventure, they are often presented with a sign or omen that invites them to leave their comfort zone and confront the unknown. The ringing in the ears can serve this symbolic function, acting as a wake-up call from the unconscious, prompting us to face our shadows, explore our depths, and discover new facets of ourselves. These sounds can be seen as a threshold inviting us to cross into the inner world, where challenges await, but also important revelations for our growth. Jung believed that the hero's journey, like the individuation process, is filled with trials and obstacles that challenge us to leave behind our old beliefs and face the unknown. The ringing, like the hero's trials, can be disorienting or even uncomfortable, but it is also an opportunity for growth. Instead of trying to avoid or ignore these sounds, we are invited to listen and reflect on what they might symbolize in our lives. The hero on their journey often has to confront their shadow, the part of themselves that has been repressed or ignored. For Jung, ringing in the ears could be a manifestation of this shadow, a sign that something in our unconscious is seeking to be integrated into our consciousness. Perhaps these sounds are inviting us to explore aspects of ourselves that we have avoided or denied, offering us the chance to reconcile with parts of our psyche that need to be acknowledged. The hero's journey does not simply end with the overcoming of trials. The hero returns transformed, having gained new knowledge or a deeper understanding of themselves and the world. Ringing in the ears, as part of our own psychic journey, can be a sign that we are in the midst of a transformation process. These sounds may symbolize the transition from one stage to another in our personal development, reminding us that although the path may be difficult, the reward is a greater integration of our psyche and a deeper sense of wholeness. In myths, the hero often receives help from archetypal figures, such as the sage or mentor, who provide guidance on their journey. Similarly, these sounds could be seen as a kind of internal guide, a manifestation of our unconscious providing clues about the path we should follow. These sounds remind us that we are not alone on our journey, but are being guided by inner forces that lead us toward our destiny. In moments of crisis, whether personal, professional, or spiritual, our psyche often sends signals that reflect the internal changes we are undergoing. For Carl Jung, crises are not merely negative events, but opportunities for transformation and growth. In fact, he saw crises as moments when internal tensions become so intense that they force a person to re-evaluate their life and values. From this perspective, ringing in the ears may be a physical manifestation of these internal tensions, a sign that we are in the midst of a psychological transformation. Jung observed that crises often act as catalysts for the process of individuation. In these moments, the tensions between the conscious self and the unconscious intensify, which can lead to sensory phenomena such as ringing in the ears. These sounds can be interpreted as an indication that something in our psyche is seeking to be recognized or integrated. Instead of ignoring these sounds, we can view them as an opportunity to reflect on the internal tensions we are experiencing and how they might be leading us toward a greater integration of our being. Psychological crises are often accompanied by physical and emotional symptoms, such as anxiety, stress, or even insomnia. Ringing in the ears could be one of these symptoms, a sign that our emotions and thoughts are out of balance and that change is needed. Jung believed that when we fail to pay attention to these symptoms, internal tensions can accumulate and lead to more serious problems, both physically and psychologically. In many cases, psychological crises manifest as a conflict between the conscious self and the unconscious. Perhaps we are clinging to an image of ourselves that no longer aligns with our internal reality, or perhaps we are resisting the changes that are taking place within us. Ringing in the ears, as a manifestation of these internal tensions, can be an invitation to stop resisting change and allow the process of transformation to occur naturally. Jung also observed that crises are often accompanied by phenomena of synchronicity, in which external events seem to coincide with our internal states in ways that go beyond mere coincidence. Ringing in the ears could be part of this phenomenon, a sign that the universe is reflecting our internal crisis through sensory experiences. These sounds invite us to pay attention not only to our inner world, but also to external signs that may be pointing us toward a path of resolution or transformation. Like all psychic processes, the ringing in the ears is not permanent. For Carl Jung, the sensory phenomena we experience during phases of transformation tend to disappear once we have completed the process of psychological integration. The ringing, which may have initially been a signal of crisis or internal tension, can fade once we have reached a new balance in our psyche. This silence is not just the absence of noise, but a sign that we have completed a cycle and are ready to move on to a new stage of our life. In alchemical work, the completion of the process is known as the rubedo, the culmination of transformation in which fullness and wisdom are achieved. Ringing in the ears, if interpreted as part of this symbolic process, could represent the nigredo, the moment of greatest chaos and uncertainty that precedes resolution. Once we have passed through this chaos and integrated the lessons of our crisis, the ringing may fade, signaling that we have entered a new phase of clarity and understanding. In many cases, the disappearance of the ringing may be accompanied by a sense of relief or release. This is because the unconscious no longer needs to send physical signals to capture our attention. We have heard the message, we have gone through the crisis, and we are now ready to continue our journey with a greater understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Furthermore, the transcendence of the ringing can symbolize the transcendence of the ego, a central concept in Jungian psychology. Jung believed that the ego, or the conscious part of ourselves, must be transcended or integrated with the unconscious for us to achieve wholeness. The ringing, like other symptoms, is a manifestation of this process of integration. Once we have achieved this integration, the ego dissolves and transforms into a broader consciousness, free from the tensions that initially generated the symptoms. Finally, when the ringing fades, it is a moment of reflection. We have completed a cycle, but life is a continuous process of evolution. Even though we may have overcome a crisis or a phase of transformation, there will always be new opportunities to grow and learn. Ringing in the ears, while potentially disturbing in the moment, is actually a natural part of the cycle of life, a sign that we are in constant transformation and evolution. In Jungian psychology, active imagination is a crucial technique for establishing a dialogue between the conscious self and the unconscious. Jung described it as a process in which the individual enters their psyche and allows images, symbols, and internal phenomena to develop spontaneously in order to explore and understand them. In this context, ringing in the ears can be a gateway to this process, a signal that the unconscious is ready to communicate something meaningful to the conscious mind. Instead of ignoring or dismissing these sounds, active imagination invites us to interact with them, to listen to what they have to say, and to discover their deeper meaning. The ringing, when perceived in a receptive state, can act as a sound symbol representing non-verbal messages from the psyche. In active imagination, rather than trying to get rid of the ringing or seeking an immediate logical explanation, the individual allows the experience to unfold. What emotions or thoughts arise when hearing the sound? Where does the ringing seem to originate within us? These questions can open the door to significant insights about our current psychological state. Additionally, Jung believed that active imagination was a way to balance the tensions between psychic opposites, such as the conscious self and the unconscious, or the ego and the shadow. The ringing could be a manifestation of these tensions, and active imagination is a tool to resolve them. By interacting with the ringing through this process, we can uncover which aspects of our psyche are in conflict, or which areas of our life need attention. Often the ringing may be related to repressed emotions, unresolved traumas, or unexpressed desires that are seeking a way to surface. A practical example of active imagination with ringing could involve sitting in silence and allowing the sound to speak. Rather than viewing it as an annoyance, the approach is to engage with it as if it were a character or symbol that has something to tell us. Does the ringing get louder or softer? Does it change tone or location? Does it evoke any particular image or sensation? This approach can reveal hidden aspects of our unconscious that would otherwise go unnoticed. Jung also emphasized that active imagination could lead us to explore archetypal images that reside in the collective unconscious. The ringing could be a gateway to these images, acting as a sensory signal alerting us to something deeper within our psyche. Perhaps the ringing is related to an archetypal experience of transformation or a universal symbol that needs to be recognized and processed so that we can move forward in our individuation process. In Taoism and other spiritual traditions, internal sounds, including ringing, are often interpreted as signs of an opening to a higher state of consciousness. Active imagination, by allowing us to explore these sounds with curiosity and without judgment, provides an opportunity to access this deeper level of perception. Through this process, we can integrate what Jung called the self, the totality of our psyche, including both the conscious and unconscious. In summary, active imagination offers a powerful way to interact with ringing in the ears as symbols of the psyche in transformation. Instead of seeing them as an annoyance or a symptom to be ignored, we can use them as tools to explore our internal tensions, discover messages from the unconscious, and advance in our journey of self-knowledge. This approach invites us to embrace the experience, allowing the ringing to be a guide on our path toward individuation and wholeness. In many spiritual traditions, the snake is a powerful symbol of transformation and vital energy. In Hinduism and Tantric Buddhism, the concept of Kundalini refers to a coiled energy lying dormant at the base of the spine which, when activated, ascends through the energy centers or chakras, awakening the individual's spiritual potential. Carl Jung showed great interest in this concept, seeing the snake as a universal archetype of transformation, healing, and renewal. From this perspective, ringing in the ears can be interpreted as a manifestation of this serpentine energy, a signal that the Kundalini is awakening and beginning its ascent through the chakras. When Kundalini energy is activated, it can produce a series of physical and psychic phenomena, including ringing in the ears. These sounds can indicate that the energy is moving through the body, unblocking energy centers and awakening new capacities within the individual. Like the snake shedding its skin, the awakening of Kundalini is a process of deep renewal, where the old self is shed to make way for a more evolved and conscious version of oneself. Jung compared the awakening of Kundalini to the process of individuation, in which the individual must confront the unintegrated parts of their psyche and allow these parts to be transformed and reintegrated. The ringing may be a sign that we are going through a psychic or spiritual awakening. The sound of the ringing can be seen as the echo of Kundalini energy moving through the chakras, clearing blockages, and activating a new level of awareness. In Tantric traditions, sound is a key tool for activating Kundalini. Mantras and sonic vibrations are used to awaken this dormant energy and facilitate its ascent. Similarly, the ringing can be seen as a type of internal mantra, a sonic vibration that is activating the spiritual energy within us. By paying attention to these sounds, we can attune ourselves to the movement of Kundalini and facilitate its rise through our energy centers. It's important to note that the awakening of Kundalini is not always an easy process. It is often accompanied by internal crises, emotional tensions, and profound changes in perception. Ringing in the ears can be a manifestation of these challenges, a signal that we are in the midst of an important transition that may generate confusion or discomfort. However, just like the snake, which goes through a vulnerable phase when shedding its skin, this process is necessary to reach a higher state of awareness and internal balance. Jung also observed that the snake, as an archetypal symbol, is present in many cultures as a guardian of spiritual mysteries and a symbol of healing. In ancient Greece, for example, the snake was associated with Asclepius, the god of medicine, and was considered a symbol of regeneration. In this context, ringing in the ears can be interpreted as a manifestation of the snake's healing energy, a sign that we are undergoing a process of psychic and spiritual regeneration. To harness this energy, it is important to adopt an attitude of openness and acceptance. Rather than resisting the ringing or trying to silence it, we can see it as a sign that something deep and meaningful is happening within us. Through meditation, chakra work, or active imagination, we can facilitate the movement of this energy and allow Kundalini to continue its ascent, guiding us toward a greater understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe. In summary, ringing in the ears can be a manifestation of Kundalini energy, a symbol of the transformation and spiritual awakening we are experiencing. Like the snake shedding its skin, this process may be challenging but is also an opportunity for growth and renewal. By paying attention to these sounds and allowing the energy to move freely through us, we can access a new level of consciousness and internal balance. From Carl Jung's perspective, ringing in the ears is much more than just a physical phenomenon. It is a doorway to the unconscious, a signal that we are in the midst of a process of psychic transformation. Whether we interpret it as a sign of crisis, synchronicity, or a call to a psychic adventure, it invites us to reflect on our state of being. Throughout this journey, we've delved into the idea that ringing in the ears can be viewed as symbols of our connection to the collective unconscious, manifestations of archetypes, and indicators of spiritual transformation. By tuning into these sounds and contemplating their significance, we can unlock essential insights for our personal and spiritual growth. Ultimately, The ringing serves as a reminder that we are continually evolving and transforming. While these sounds may often be annoying or perplexing, they are an integral part of the natural individuation process that steers us toward a deeper connection with the universe. By embracing these auditory experiences, we can embark on a path of self-discovery and spiritual development, leading us toward greater wholeness and fulfillment.